Hello, one and all. Welcome to the Waiver Wire Show, your weekly show where we talk about some poor, unfortunate mon that did not get drafted in the GBA, and we either confirm the coach's reasons for not drafting it, or we guilt trip them into feeling bad about their life choices. I'm Spastic One, your host. Last week, Strompfel gave you a list of Megamons to choose from, and you did not disappoint. This week, we're talking about the super fighting robot Mega. Seriously, this thing looks like it was designed by Dr. Light. Regardless, this week we will be discussing Mega Heracross. Let's take a look at those stats, shall we? For starters, we have an HP stat of 80, a ridiculous attack stat of 185, defense 115, special attack of 40, spec defense of 105, and your memes, of course, are so true to form, a speed tier of 75. However, that's not too terribly slow, but, memes are memes. Let us talk about this mon's typing. It has the very interesting bug and fighting type, which is a very interesting combination from offensive and defensive standpoints. Offensively, it is a double threat to dark types. It is also a threat to grass, rock, steel, psychic, ice, and normal types, the most annoying of them all. Defensively, it has a good resistance to ground, grass, dark again, bug, and fighting, which means, hey, if two Heracross ever fight themselves, it's going to be a long match. It can stand up to a lot of different threats while dishing out incredible damage. So why did nobody draft it? Let's delve into Dr. Light's plans and figure out how this big bad beetle. For starters, we have some very nice pros. This mon has some very solid stats. With its monstrous attack, even resisted hits are going to do a healthy chunk of damage, while super effective hits are going to completely annihilate your opponent. While its 80, 115, 105 defenses allow it to take resisted hits and even neutral hits better than its base form, as it gets a boost in defenses when it mega evolves. Skill Link allows for 5 consecutive hits on multi-hit moves, which means f your sashes, f your sturdy, and f your substitutes. This gun doesn't give a sh what kind of defenses you want to hide behind. Its offensive presence is very formidable as well. Bug fighting allows it to check a lot of defensive threats, plus its coverage options allow it to check even more, including some of its weaknesses and defensive checks. For example, you can run Rock Blast and Stone Edge to take care of those that want to eat you, or you can run Shadow Claw or Knockoff for Ghost and Psychic types. Everything gets Knockoff. So these are some very amazing pros. Why did nobody draft it? Let's take a look at some of these cons to maybe figure out why. Perhaps one of the biggest glaring problems is its weaknesses. It has a plethora of them. In addition to being weak to offensive types like fire and psychic, it has a massive 4x weakness to flying, which a lot of mods can get as coverage moves. Almost everything can get either Aerial Ace or Psy Shock or Psy Kick, which means that thing's getting dunked on. It's also vulnerable to fairy types, having almost no way to counter them, lacking moves like Iron Head or even Poison Jab to properly check fairy types that would otherwise sit in front of it and fairy dust all over. Mega Heracross is also going to be very predictable. It's going to be a hard-hitting physical attacker, which means its defenses can be prepared accordingly. Although, in fairness, Mega Heracross has a ridiculous attack stat, so any defenses prepared are going to be destroyed regardless. It also has very little in the way of utility. Yes, it gets knockoff, that's not an accomplishment anymore, off move tutors. It has no access to hazards or hazard removal. It does not have any recovery, but it does get toxic, which literally every fucking mon gets. I stand by my case. Mega Heracross is also locked in. Again, this is a problem shared with most Megas, but Heracross pre-Mega abilities do not help its Mega form at all in draft format. Its two abilities before it Mega Evolves are Moxie and Guts. In GBA format, you are forced to Mega Evolve on the first turn that you act, meaning you cannot pick up a Moxie boost from base Heracross before you Mega Evolve, nor can you absorb a status to get an attack boost, and when you Mega Evolve, you lose it anyway. Which means, oh, you got burned. That great massive attack stack that you have just got cut in half. Yes, Skill Link also bottlenecks Heracross into a specific style of moveset if it wants to fully make use of its ability. Otherwise, it's kind of a waste. All in all, it's not a bad Mega Pokemon, but it's very much a one-trick Ponyta. But it can make very good use of what it has, so let's take a look at some of these sets. So here we have our Mega Heracross sets. This first set here is going to be your very standard issue Smogon set that you would find in the OU tier. Running Heracronite and Skill Link because running Close Combat, Pin Missile, and Rock Blast. Close Combat because it has a much higher base attack than Arm Thrust, even though you do get a defense and spec defense drop, but hopefully this isn't your main tank. Pin Missile is the strongest stab move that you have, while still retaining a high accuracy rating, because Mega Horn does not. Rock Blast to hopefully try and catch some of those flying types, and again, higher accuracy rating than Stone Edge. And the fourth move can be, well, whatever you want, because you can run this for coverage moves. It can be Shadow Claw or Knockoff for the Ghost and Psychic types that would otherwise sit in front of you. It can be Bullet Seed if you know you're going up against a bulky water type. Or nope, that's pretty much it. That's all you got. Or hey, Run Pursuit. Have some fun with it. You can set up a substitute set with Bulk Up. You can sit behind a stuffed animal and shoot yourself up with steroids, and then decide to close combat all over someone's face, or just shoot pin missiles all over the place, while running 248 EVs in HP to get that nice number, that nice odd number for substitutes, 8 EVs in special defense to try and get your defenses a little more evenly, and of course running 252 in attack and adamant. This is going to be a recurring theme. Or instead of shooting yourself up with steroids, you can toss some swords around. You can sit behind a stuffed animal and juggle some chainsaws to get your attack stat up even higher, while sacrificing your defensive potential. Again, running Close Combat and Pin Missile, and again, the same EV distribution. You can take full advantage of Skill Link with this set right here. Running Bullet Seed, Arm Thrust, Rock Blast, and Pin Missile, all multi-hit moves that you will be able to get all 5 hits with, and getting some nice decent coverage in the interim. Running 252 EVs in speed and attack with the Jolly Nature to try and catch some surprisingly slower mons. How do you phrase it? Trying to catch some slower mons in a surprise revenge, and some bulk in HP because why not? But this week's bill set is probably the billest of them yet. We are running a special stall Mega Heracross with the Rest and Sleep Talk set, which is Heracross's only really reliable recovery. Toxic because nobody wants to really sit in front of this thing anyhow, so why not Toxic stall them? And then there are some steel types that are immune to this. Actually, every steel type is immune to this. This is not Salazzle. So we want Focus Blast to be able to get that nice stab powerful hit off. Ignore the accuracy decrease at 70%, which will translate to 100% if you can get a target lock from your... oh, forget it. It's a piece of Anyway, you will run even stats, even EVs in defense and special defense, as well as 252 in HP to try and make this thing as bulky as possible. You are not going anywhere fast, nor will you take down anything with your stupid physical attack. Who needs it? This special attack right here with a focus blast can take out an Eviolite boosted Lairon as long as it's not running 252 special defense. This thing can almost one-hit KO a specially defensive Aggron. And even Stakataka. This thing can actually do some surprising damage. But why? Why would you even run? So that is going to be it for this week's edition of the Waiver Wire Show. Be sure to tune in next week when we discuss yet another sorry sop of a Pokemon that did not get drafted. Next week's poll is going to be in the description below. Your choices are Machamp, Blissey, Espeon, Torkoal, Swampert, Politoed, and Galvantula. Now before we close out this week, I want to give a huge shout out to Strompfel for being an amazing entertainer and analyst this season. We continue to wish you nothing but the best. Be sure to keep showing your love for Strompfel in the comments below. We'll see you next week. My name is Ospastic1, signing off. And now I'm off to take some NyQuil to get over this f***ing cold. This is seriously irritating.